This week in the Real Review we're featuring sparkling wines, both Australian and imported, and the two wines that I'm about to taste are Blanc de Blancs. There is an Italian wine and an Australian wine. Blanc de Blanc, of course, is made from white grapes only, as the name suggests. In Champagne, a Blanc de Blanc can be made with Chardonnay or Pinot Blanc and other white grapes, but 99% of them are made from just Chardonnay. These two wines are pure Chardonnay as well. So Blanc de Blanc normally denotes a Chardonnay wine. It doesn't have to be Chardonnay, but it has to be white grapes. And these two wines are an Oak Ridge Blanc de Blanc from the Yarra Valley and a Rotari Blanc de Blanc from Trentino in northern Italy. It's called Flavio, and it's a Riserva, and it's Metodo Classico, which means method champenoise, or the classic method. And the Oak Ridge is also made by the classic method, which means they are fermented in the bottle in which you buy them. The wine I'm about to taste is Oak Ridge Blanc de Blanc 2016. This is from the Yarra Valley, and 2016 vintage, a wine with considerable age on it. It's now 6 years old. It was left on its yeast lees for 5 years, so it's a year since it was disgorged, September 2021. Should be absolutely right on the money to drink at the moment. Oak Ridge, of course, are famous for their table wines in the Yarra Valley, particularly Chardonnay. Chief winemaker David Bicknell has been a real pioneer with modern styles of Chardonnay. He does several individual vineyard wines, and the same with Pinot Noir, same with Cabernet Sauvignon and various other wines. Sparkling wine is not one of their key, I guess, products, but this Blanc de Blanc is certainly very consistent with the Chardonnay theme, which is very much a thing with David Bicknell. I think he's well recognised now as a Chardonnay specialist, and this is a Chardonnay wine, of course, being a Blanc de Blanc. Let's just pour it, and lovely light yellow colour, very fresh, youthful colour. It shouldn't be too dark, and it isn't, and a nice collar of froth. Very good colour, and you can see the bubbles are very fine bubbles, very fine and lazily coming to the surface. It's not gushing, it's not making a lot of froth and pandemonium. They're tiny, tiny bubbles, and the size of the bubbles, a lot of people think that's something to do with the quality. It's an indicator of quality. It's more of an indicator of age. The older the wine is, quite often the finer the bubbles. And if you compared that to a sparkling mineral water or something, you would find that the bubbles are many, many times bigger than that. So those are very fine bubbles. Not that bubbles are that important, it's the way the wine tastes. And wow, that's got a beautiful bouquet. There's some toasty notes coming into that now. Toasty, brioche, baguette, crust, that kind of thing, which is an indicator of wine that's been aged on the yeast lees in the bottle for a number of years. During that time, the yeast break down, they autolyse, they release compounds into the wine that add flavour and character to the wine, and that wine has got a lot of that character. I think enough time on cork after the disgorgement is also important to build those characters on the bouquet, and this really has a complex and very, very attractive bouquet. So the taste of the wine is lovely. It's very Chardonnay driven. It's totally Chardonnay, but the flavours are Chardonnay. So you have citrus fruits, you have flowers, you have floral notes, you have a touch of this bready brioche baguette crust kind of character. There is a little smokiness, a little butteriness, a bit of a bit of pastry character there as well. It's like walking into a patisserie and smelling, the pastry and the icing and the creme patissiere and the pastries. A whole lot of things all mixed up together results in a really, really gorgeous nose, complex. Have another taste. And the wine is beautifully balanced. There's a touch of sweetness there, just enough to soften and round out the palate and to counteract the acidity, which is always quite prominent in good sparkling wine. The aftertaste is rounded, balanced, long, complete. It's a beautiful wine. I think it would make a good aperitif wine as well as a good food wine, and I could imagine all sorts of seafoody things with that. Fish, certainly fish, but also oysters. Oysters and Blanc de Blanc is a classic. It's a no-brainer. How do we score this wine? We gave it 93 points, which is a high silver ribbon, and we've said basically drink it now and for the next few years. It's probably not going to get much better than it is now, but it should hold for several years. It's a beautiful wine. The wine I'm about to taste is a sparkling wine from northern Italy, from the Trentino region, where the appellation is Trento DOC, and it's called Rotari Flavio Riserva. It's a Blanc de Blanc made purely from Chardonnay, and it's a 2013 vintage, so it's got quite a bit of age on it. It's now nine years old, which is very mature for a sparkling wine. Rotari is the sparkling brand of the Gruppo Mezzacorona, which is one of the biggest wineries in northern Italy, who I'm told produce 48 million bottles of wine a year, which is a lot of wine. They specialise in Pinot Grigio. They do a number of Pinot Grigio still wines, but they also do a number of Rotari sparkling wines. This one is their top sparkling wine, so it's being the top wine, the flagship. It's got extra age on it. It's not cheap. It's $80 a bottle, and it's a really mature wine. So the Mezzacorona winery has 1,600 grower members, in other words 1,600 grape growers who sell their grapes every year to this cooperative. And having that huge resource of grapes in the Trentino Alto Adige area means that they can do a big range of wines and a good range of quality levels. So very, very inexpensive, good value wines at the bottom, right up to this sort of thing, $80 sparkling wine at the top. So how does it taste? Let's have a look. It's a really nice yellow colour, light yellow colour. It's not too dark. In other words, it's been aging gracefully. It hasn't been aging too fast. And the bubbles, of course, are fine and lazy. And it's not especially sparkling in the glass, but it's certainly adequate. Let's have a taste. A really nice nose. It's got a lot of bready character there, a lot of secondary aged character from maturation on the yeast lees, bready, toasty, particularly toasty characters. Toasted bread, in other words, or grilled bread, is very, very, very prominent amongst the bouquet of that wine. There are fruit characters there too, citrus fruit, peachy fruit characters, but they're very much in the background. And it's the mature, developed character, the complexity of age, which is coming through first and foremost. There's a little bit of smokiness there. There's pretty interesting. There's almost a touch of toffee and caramel in there as well. Let's have a taste. It tastes rich, mellow, quite full-bodied sparkling wine, as you'd expect with that age. But it's not a big, broad wine as you might expect with Pinot Noir in it. It's pure Chardonnay, so it has a bit more delicacy, a bit more restraint, a bit more finesse. But those toasty, buttered toast and brioche characters come through quite strongly on the palate. A bit of a croissant sort of character there. There is fruit there, but it's again the richness of bottle-aged characters or lees-aged characters, which are conferring a great deal of complexity and richness and fullness on this wine. It's a very satisfying glass of wine to drink. How do we score it? We scored it 92 out of 100, which is a good silver ribbon score. And we've said pretty much drink it now and over the next 2 or 3 years for the best results. I don't think it's going to get any better than it is now. They've aged it for us. They've given it a lot of age. They've done us a great service by giving it 9 years of age before they've released it. No need to age it further. And I do notice on this neck tag here that it won a Tre Bicchieri at the Gambero Rosso, which is Italy's leading wine guide. Tre Bicchieri means 3 wine glasses, and that's the highest rating. So they obviously love it over there in Italy as well. So the dish that we've chosen to serve with this wine is the Chermoula snapper. That is snapper that's been marinated in Chermoula. I think it would go very well with this wine. Good health.